Arceus, the god of all Pokémon, the original being in the Pokémon universe, and the Pokémon said to be the source of all creation. In Sinnoh's Canalave library, we find the story of the original one, describing how Arceus hatched from an egg. That egg, it's said, emerged from a churning turmoil of primordial chaos. Arceus would then go on to create the first fundamental beings, like Dialga and Palkia, the gods of time and space, as well as the Lake Trio, gods of willpower, knowledge, and emotion. From there, existence in the Pokémon universe unfolded as we know it. Arceus, then, is the being that is at the square root of all existence in the Pokémon universe. Or is it? In today's video, we're going to explore how everything we think we know about God in the Pokémon universe might not be quite as clean cut as you'd first think. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the subscribe button. We just hit our yearly goal of 10,000 subscribers, and there is so much more content to come as we approach the era of Legends Z-A and Gen 10. Thank you to the members for powering another video. In celebration of hitting 10k, we're giving away a copy of Legends Z-A, so join the gang for a chance to win it, along with gaining access to awesome loyalty badges and custom emojis, the brand new Mystery Dungeon DX series, and livestream perks like becoming a nickname in our Nuzlocke challenges and playthroughs. But now, let's talk about Arceus. Generation 4 marked a very important milestone for Game Freak. From generations 1 to 3, you could see them gradually upping the stakes of the legendary Pokemon they were creating and what they represent. From Mewtwo, a powerful psychic clone born of unethical DNA experiments, to Lugia and Ho-Oh, the saintly box art legendaries of Gold and Silver, and then to primordial Pokemon Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza, who are gods of land, sea, and sky. Gen 4 then, it seemed, took these powerful beings to the furthest possible place, gods of creation. There's no doubt that in the Pokemon universe, Arceus is the original being. However, I've been asking myself one simple question. What if we zoom out? When I was a kid at school, I was taught that the universe was the biggest construct known to man, so unfathomably big that we only know about the observable universe, the bit we can see. But based on our understanding of the cosmic microwave background, we assume that it's far, far bigger, perhaps even infinite. That's a lot to take in, but if that wasn't stressing you out enough, it's recently been suggested that there may not only be a universe, but a multiverse. While this idea has been floating around philosophically for centuries, it's recently become a very popular notion, particularly since cosmic inflation theory, which emerged in 1985. This then suggests that there may not only be an incomprehensibly large universe, but an infinite number of universes, inaccessible other realms where the laws of physics may even be different rules and laws bound by nothing, infinite possibilities. And we've seen this idea reflected in popular culture across multiple stories, from Marvel to DC and even to tales like The Man in the High Castle. There are numerous examples, all upheld by the basic idea of multiple realities. What if Arceus then was the god of only one of these many universes? We know that Pokemon lore is largely influenced by real-world science and history. The original Kanto games, for example, contained many interesting inspirations from some of history's most fascinating events. Mewtwo, a cloning experiment performed by scientists using Mew's DNA. The psychic type itself being inspired by MKUltra and remote viewing experiments that took place in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Weird Pokédex entries suggesting that Pokemon like Kadabra were once human beings that gained extrasensory powers and that they make clocks run backwards. The idea of resurrecting fossils, the mysterious otherworldly rocks in Mount Moon, and space exploration exhibits in Pewter City's museum reflecting the moon landings, and even more grounded implications like Lieutenant Surge being a soldier who clearly fought in potentially some sort of Pokemon world equivalent to the Cold War. The list of real-world inspiration goes on and on. The point is, Pokemon's origins are extremely grounded in sci-fi. So when it comes to the popularity of the multiverse theory in modern science and sci-fi stories, Pokemon naturally followed suit in its own way. Arceus is definitely the overarching god of at least one universe, the universe that every main series of Pokemon games that we've seen thus far takes place in. But is Arceus the god of every universe across the Pokemon multiverse? Here is where we have to be very clear with the language that we use. Universes and timelines are different things. Alternate timelines are just different sequences of events that branch off within the same universe to create these parallel realities. They started from the same origin point and are bound by the same laws of physics, but they are just different branched off outcomes, like save states in a video game. Other universes then could have totally different laws of physics, and the possibilities are endless, perhaps even unimaginable. It's confusing, but let's explain this in Pokémon terms. Firstly, each version of the same Pokémon story can be seen as a different timeline. So Pokémon Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald are the same fundamental story, but each represent different timelines in the same universe, where things play out just slightly differently. They are parallel worlds of each other. You can even imagine everyone who plays Pokémon as having an individual save file that represents an alternate reality, but the same fundamental laws of nature and physics remain constant in each. And we can imagine Arceus sitting and watching all the timelines unfold within the design of its universe. Imagine it as though Arceus had invented the game of chess, and an endless amount of chess games are being played out. Secondly, we have a slight upgrade from just alternate timelines that aren't quite other universes either. Let's call these distortion splits. In Auras's Delta episode, Zinnia also refers to a distortion caused by the use of the ultimate weapon 3000 years ago. The use of the word distortion here, I think, means this is more than just another timeline, but a larger scale disturbance of Arceus's reality. The use of the weapon by AZ gave birth to the Mega Evolution phenomenon due to the unleashing of Arceus's infinity energy. It was not in Arceus's original plan for this energy to be unleashed in this way, but this event did emerge from the rules and energy that Arceus created. Revisiting our chess analogy, it's as though one day AZ stumbled on a buried mechanic. Pawns can suddenly leap across the chessboard in a single move. AZ didn't invent the game of chess, but the rule was always coded into the game's possibility. AZ activating it now changes the game entirely. Now Arceus's chess game exists as two distinct sports, the standard chess everybody knows, and chess with its hidden rule unlocked. Both the timeline split and the mega distortion split can be seen as realities that are overseen by Arceus. Unless someone manages to access Arceus and displace it, a bit like Volo attempted to do, Arceus is still technically the one who governs each reality within its universe, no matter how fractured. But thirdly, there seems to be the possibility of separate universes in Pokémon lore as well, just like the multiverse theory we spoke about earlier. The closest suggestion of a multiverse seems to be the Ultra Beasts. These beings seem to emerge from completely different dimensions connected by a network known as Ultra Space. But what exactly is Ultra Space? Is it merely the connecting tunnels that give us access to other timelines that have played out in Arceus's universe? Essentially, access to all the games of chess that have ever been played. Guzzlord's world, for example, seems to be a kind of alternative Earth with remnants of a destroyed civilization, meaning that it could literally be an alternative timeline of Arceus's Earth. And in many Ultra worlds, we see what appear to be human characters. This could mean these worlds are alternate versions of Arceus's universe. But what if these places sit outside of Arceus's universe entirely? Ultra Space has not been explicitly defined as inside or outside Arceus's universe, but it's probably the closest we've gotten to the multiverse theory being canon. But even if Ultra Space is within Arceus's framework, it's still possible we could zoom out even further. At this point, it's important to mention that historically, whenever the major Pokémon world builders like Junichi Masuda have given comments on this subject in interviews, they seem to want to leave room for growth and change in the future. There usually seems to be some intentional ambiguity, and his comments have definitely downplayed strict, cohesive timelines. Though these sort of comments have dried up in the last 5 or 6 years, in 2019, when talking about the Pokémon timeline, he did say that the approach that Pokémon takes is expanding the world, and that rather than a timeline, it's more of a physical space thing. Make of that what you will, but to me, this kind of answer shows the priority is allowing the future of Pokémon lore to remain adaptable. We know from the Terra leak that for certain, Game Freak internally developed lore and meaning behind the scenes, thinking deeply about the overall world building. And that's why I think that other gods on Arceus's level is a realistic possibility. The Arceus we know seems to somewhat value order. If we go back to the origin story, it seems like there was something before Arceus. that was the churning turmoil of chaos. An egg appeared from the heart of that chaos and hatched Arceus. And Arceus has shown through the Heart Gold Soul Silver event that it can birth other cosmic deities from those very same eggs, as it did with Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. This seems like a loop. Arceus was the first hatched being in this universe, and it then created the notions of space, time, matter, and antimatter in pursuit of the universe in its own orderly vision. But if Arceus can birth eggs, then where did Arceus's egg really come from? Another theory in real-world science and mathematics is the idea of eons. An eon is an era of a universe, from its Big Bang to its Big Crunch. A universe's life cycle from beginning to end. Once the Big Crunch at the end happens, another universe is born anew from the remnants of the last. So, taking everything we've discussed, Arceus, at least in this form, could just be restricted to this eon of this universe, making it just one version of the ultimate creator. Different eons and different universes within the multiverse could have totally different gods with different visions, perhaps ones where space and time as concepts aren't even necessary. And that's where the theory gets fun, because the possibilities really are endless. Just when you think you've got it all figured out, there's always something new to discover. But maybe Arceus truly is the overarching god of the entire multiverse, transcending all beings and being the ultimate creator of everything across all planes of existence. But what if Arceus simply emerged from another realm as just one universe's god, with a specific vision that is not shared by any other universe in the multiverse? What if Arceus has an infinite amount of siblings or predecessors, and each one is totally different with a different vision for its own reality? What if some of those siblings were hostile? What if they sought the destruction of other realms? We've seen Volo and Cyrus trying to use Arceus's power to create a new world, but this could just be scratching the surface. What if there are already other worlds? Or if in some other timelines, these ideas have succeeded? What if these worlds are overseen by other, more agitated godlike figures on an equal or higher power level to Arceus? What if they're on a multiversal mission to threaten other realms because they don't agree with different visions? Could the version of Arceus that we know protect the universe that we know from a threat on that scale? These are the questions that could lead to some very interesting possibilities. But what do you think? Does Arceus sit in the ultimate highest position above all timelines and beyond that all universes? Or is there potential for challenger gods, other rulers from different universes or eons that could pose a threat to Arceus's reality in the future? Let me know all of your thoughts, and until next time, love you gang.